Hello everyone, my name is Nilsor and welcome to my vault. Today on Fallout New Vegas 101 we are going to talk about one of your companion, ED. The iBot Duraframe Subject E, or ED, is a scientifically engineered robot built by an enclave scientist named Whitley inside the Adams Air Force Base on the East Coast near the Capitol Wasteland. It is at the same time both a prototype and the last in existence of a new line of upgraded iBots with a notable addition of a laser weapon. Whitley treated ED like his own child, making it watch the TV show Ralphie, which depicted a story about an iBot on the run to avoid capture by General Winters, a show which you can still hear its musical theme when ED enters combat mode. Whitley grew fond of his robots and even started genderizing ED by using masculine pronouns, despite the fact that it is a robot and therefore doesn't have a sex nor gender. When Dr. Grant experienced on ED to improve its navigation system, Whitley couldn't bear it as the robot was fully activated during the procedure, a thing which he perceived as torture. Later on, all the iBots were to be dismantled to reallocate their assets to the development of the new Enclave Hellfire power armor. Wanting to save ED's life, Whitley sent it on a mission to bring his data and research findings about the iBots Duraframe to the Enclave's base at Navarro. The dates for these events are unknown, but we know that this base was destroyed in 2242 during Fallout 2. The assignment was to make ED cross the entire country, where ED would be safe according to Whitley. On its way, ED made a stop at a secret Enclave base near Chicago, which is where it probably got its license plate added on its hull. Unfortunately, later on during its travel, ED got shot by some raiders while it was in the Mojave. Shortly after, it was brought to Prim by a courier who was passing by. Since then, it stayed deactivated on the counter of Prim's Mojave Express office, at least until the courier came along. On the outside, ED doesn't seem threatening. Its small laser cannon shows that it is not defenseless, but it is far less scary than some of its counterparts. What is visible is its utility. The fact that it is a small round floating robot indicates that it was built for travel, including on hard terrain or water. When you communicate with ED, you assume that, since it is a robot, it's only bound by its programming. But surprisingly, it actually seems capable of showing some emotions, as we can see during our journey with one of its clones during the Lonesome Room DLC. There, ED is capable of showing some happy, sad or frightened feelings. Mojave ED, on the contrary, doesn't display these emotions, despite being the original version for the Lonesome Road ED. Maybe it could be due to its hull damages. Did those displays of emotions were programmed by Whitley? Are they only imitation of what it saw in the Ralphie TV show? Or is it possible that ED developed a conscience and became sentient all on its own? No straight answer is known, and only assumptions can be made. What we do know is that ED is still a slave to its programming. It will abandon the courier to complete its mission if its personal quest was never completed, and the reason why it doesn't immediately resume its mission is because of its faulty internal positioning hardware, and it needs triggers to reactivate its mission protocol. We also know that it is subject to hijacking without any resistance from its own will possible. ED's loyalty is therefore subject to caution. On a more meta level, it is interesting to note some parallels between ED and the courier. Both had a mission to bring something from one place to another, but were interrupted in the middle, shot in the head, and nursed back to life. This can explain why the courier can get attached to it. New Vegas's main themes revolves around the notion of change, the lack of it, the fear of it, the impossibility to consider it, or the lack of vision to imagine new ways. ED fits in the overall narration of New Vegas because we don't know if ED has really a conscience or not, if it was able to change by itself, or if it is merely its programming. The fact that we don't know for sure can be interpreted as the hope to be able to change, in the case of ED or the courier, even if it gets you hurt along the way. You can find ED inside the Mojave Express office inside Prim. To be able to recruit it, you will first need to repair it. To know how, please go check out the video about Prim. You will benefit from its laser cannon in combat and enhanced sensors perk, which will greatly improve your capability to perceive enemies from afar. With the Lawson Room DLC installed, ED will also provide a workbench and reloading bench through dialogue. To activate its personal quest, you will need to trigger 2 audio logs hidden in ED's databank. To activate the first one, you will have to talk to at least one of the following people in order to have the trigger word being spoken. Old Lady Gibson at the Gibson Scrapyard. At Ilius 1, talk to the NCR troopers inside the lobby. Or to Ignacio Rivas about Archimedes and the Brotherhood of Steel. Dr. Henry inside Jacobstown's Lodge about his experience with the Enclave. In Hidden Valley, talk to Knight Torres. Or Apprentice Watkins about Helios 1. Or to some Brotherhood of Steel Paladins. Thomas Hildern in Camp McCarran. Colonel Moore at Hoover Dam when she will give you the first part for the Republic quest. Michelangelo at his workshop by mentioning his lack of inspiration and attempting the medicine check option. Mr. House by talking about the Brotherhood of Steel. Or Quartermaster Mayes at Camp Forlorn Hope about the Restoring Hope quest. Once the trigger has been activated, ED will play the audio log in which you can hear its maker. After that, you will need to wait at least 5 in-game days before being able to trigger the second audio log. Once you have waited long enough to trigger the second audio log, you can go talk to the same list of persons that should have triggered the first audio log, except for the ones that actually did, or try one of these options. In Hidden Valley, listen to the Brotherhood scribe teaches his class. Speak with Veronica while on her personal quest once before and once after you've gained access to Father Elijah's terminal. Complete the quest to access the Brotherhood bunker in Hidden Valley. Have an enough good reputation with the Brotherhood to benefit from the locker at the bunker entrance, where they will put energy weapons ammunitions for you. In Hidden Valley, talk to Apprentice Watkins about both her parents and her decision, and ask her about all the computers. Or take the quest There Stands Grass from Dr. Hildern at Camp McCarran, then talk to Dr. Williams next door, and then go back to Hildern to discuss the dangers inside Vault 22. Once the trigger has been activated, ED will play the second audio log in which its maker is indicating that ED contains all the schematics and data from his research about the Duraframe iBot. 2 in-game days later, Senior Knight Lorenzo from the Brotherhood of Steel will hijack ED's radio to tell you that he would be very interested to recover the robot's data, and will ask you to deliver it to a nearby patrol if you have never been to Hidden Valley, or to himself directly if you have. If you already had been to the Brotherhood bunker, April Mortimer from the Followers of the Apocalypse will also hijack the radio and tell you that she is also very interested, and asks you to bring ED to her at the Old Mormon Fort. You will now have to choose between the 2 of them. Note that it won't impact your reputation with any of the 2 factions. After you've left ED to one of them, you will need to wait 3 to 4 in-game days before receiving the message indicating that ED has returned to Prim. Go there and talk to it to finish the quest. If you delivered ED to the Brotherhood, it will now have an upgraded armor. If you delivered it to the Followers, its laser cannon will now be enhanced. ED's endings will vary upon if it died or not, if it was repaired, if you completed its quest to whom you sent ED to, and if you took ED with you as a companion later on. If it died, the Mojave claimed ED's life, now gathering dust and waiting to be picked apart by scavengers. If you didn't repair it, another courier will eventually put it back and running and let it go back on its journey to Navarro. It will later on be discovered by the Followers of the Apocalypse, who will recover from it vast databanks of scientific knowledge. If you repaired it but didn't complete its quest, ED will leave the courier after one of its memory bank was triggered and traveled to Navarro, where it vanished, never to be seen again. If you completed its quest by giving it to the Followers, they will use the datas to develop new methods to harness the energy of the sun. If you gave it to the Brotherhood, they will use its data to build their own little army of Duraframe iBots. If you also took it with you as a companion, ED will remain a vigilant and a constant companion to the courier. But if you let ED at Prim after completing its quest, a traveling caravan will take ED with them as a bodyguard and protector during their various journeys. On the next video we'll talk about Veronica. Thank you for watching and see you later.